folks, back in 2011, I wrote a piece for National Review about the most conservative shows in the history of TV. But today, we're going to talk about the most conservative characters in TV. One of the most fascinating things about conservative characters in TV is they were originally written to be the villains in the shows that were on TV. And then they ended up being the heroes of the audience. And this happens repeatedly because Hollywood has been for decades a left-wing preserve. And so when you write somebody who actually chides the morality of the left-wing writers, it turns out that they're speaking truth to power and they become significantly more popular. So I want to start with an example of this historically. The most important example of a quote-unquote conservative TV character came in the form of Archie Bunker. So the show All in the Family, which ran from 1971 to 1979, was a Norman Lear show. That show was a wildly left show. Norman Lear, his entire politics was very much to the left. And when All in the Family came on the air, it was considered a very left-wing show. It featured Archie Bunker as basically a super racist blue-collar Democrat. He actually wasn't a Republican in the show. And then Rob Reiner, who played Meathead, was his namby-pamby liberal son-in-law. His daughter was liberal, and they lived in Archie's house. The sort of setup for the show originally was supposed to be that Archie was mean and nasty, and you sort of sympathized with Rob Reiner and his wife. And it turns out that over the course of the show, people just sympathized with Archie. Archie became the center of the show, like the real center of the show. And Norman Lear will admit that the character was a breakout specifically because he was violating taboos and saying things that no one else was allowed to say. Again, you can see kind of shades of MAGA in Archie Bunker.
Thank you, Mr. Bunker. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah? Well, it's nice to meet you, too, there, Miss Cleopatra, so I can give you a piece of my mind. You know something? If you liberals go on getting your way, we're all going to hear one big loud flush. That's the sound of the USA going down the toilet.
Mr. Bunker, I want that vote of yours tomorrow. Now you tell me, how do I get it?
Can you handle a shotgun?
Archie Bunker's character was portrayed as sort of vicious and racist and all the anti-Semitic, all of it. But he also had a sort of basic down-home sense. I'm the one paying the bills. I'm the one who goes out and works. I'm the person who is actually doing the thing that nobody else is going to do. And so he became highly popular. There was an undertone to his character, which is that he wasn't a bad guy. And this is something that good actors always have to do. This is one of the problems. People on the left will write characters like an Archie Bunker, or as we'll see, a Jack Donaghy. They'll write characters who are supposed to be unlikable on screen, and good actors make unlikable people likable. Because they have to humanize the character that they inhabit. All right, let's move forward in time a little bit. Alex P. Keaton on Family Ties. This show, I actually, when I did my book Primetime Propaganda, interviewed the people who created Family Ties. And they full-on acknowledged that Alex P. Keaton was meant to be kind of the villain of the show. The way that the show was set up was Alex P. Keaton was kind of the smart-ass kid who liked Richard Nixon, liked Ronald Reagan. He was supposed to be corrected by his liberal father. The setup of the show, kind of the bizarre setup of the show, was sort of the reverse of All in the Family, where the dad was a liberal, and the mom was a liberal, and Alex P. Keaton was the conservative. Well, Michael J. Fox happens to be one of the most charming actors to ever walk on a screen. And so he became very quickly the breakout character. Right? He's materialistic, and he's witty, he's ambitious. But again, because Michael J. Fox is so innately likable, many of the things that he was saying actually ended up becoming quite popular. So here's a clip from Family Ties with Michael J. Fox.
Alex, I want to thank you for coming to my defense. I'm proud of you. I'm very impressed with your passion for the movement.
Well, Dorothy, it was a privilege to come to your aid. I regret I have but one ear to give to the cause.
Alex, when you talk like that, I can barely keep my hands off you.
But those are just idle words. There is a job to be done here.
Yes, right on.
You know, not only by us, but by women everywhere.
Yes, all of them.
How long must we wait? How long are we expected to accept these indignities? How long, Lord? You know, I feel the way President Kennedy must have felt that day at the Berlin Wall when he said, "Today, I am a Berliner." Well, today, in this cell, I say to you, I am a woman.
Now again, the show is making fun of this, right? Because he is basically today's male feminist. Right? He's the guy who's trying to get in good with the girls by pretending that he's a feminist, but he actually is not a feminist.
Oh, really?
There are a bunch of little speeches that Alex P. Keaton gives over the course of the show that are uber capitalist and that are pretty good. The innate talent of the writers in Hollywood is real. I mean, these are very talented people. And so even when they try to write a character they hate or are supposed to hate, they can't help putting words in the mouth of the character that make the character likable, understandable, and interesting. Fast forward a little bit, and you get to Mike Judge's show. So Mike Judge is a conservative libertarian just in his own personal politics, and King of the Hill, which features Hank Hill as the central character, is a conservative-oriented show. Hank Hill is a propane salesman living in Arlen, Texas. He's old-fashioned. He's frustrated by sort of modern ideas and pseudo-morality. He's very invested in the idea that you have to teach manhood and sort of the manly skills to his kid. So here is Hank teaching auto shop to his son Bobby.
Let's put that auto shop training to work. What tool can I get for you?
A hammer?
A hammer? Boy, have you been sleeping through auto shop, or are you being funny?
Dad, I think your obsession with auto shop stems from your unresolved feelings about your father. And perhaps we should explore some of those feelings.
Bobby, you know how I explore my feelings? I fix my truck or your mother's car. When Mr. Dotrieve's wife left him, we tuned up his escort.
Well, that's one path. But if I took peer counseling, I could...
Trust me, Bobby, when you're stuck on the side of the road with your girlfriend and you can do more than ask your carburetor how it feels, you'll be glad you took auto shop.
Okay.
Okay, again, that's some pretty conservative stuff right there. Basically, work through your feelings. Fixing things with your hands is good. That's sort of the ethos of Mike Judge. Everything from Office Space to Idiocracy. All of which turns out to be prophetic, by the way. We'll get to more on this in one moment. First, did you know your home could be stolen right from under you without you even realizing it? The FBI calls this house stealing. It's a growing scam targeting homeowners across America, and here's how it works. Scammers only need to forge your signature on one document, add a fake notary stamp, and pay a small filing fee, and then submit it to the local recorder's office. Just like that, your home title gets transferred out of your name. Once they have control, they can take out loans against your equity, even sell your property behind your back. The worst part, you might not discover anything is even wrong until collection notices or foreclosure warnings start showing up in your mailbox. So when was the last time you checked your home title? Well, if you're like most people, the answer is you've never done that, and that's what scammers count on. That's why so many people, including our senior video editor Adam, trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. And here's what you get: immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes. If fraud does happen, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. Here's the best part: I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report. You can find out if you're already a victim and access to your personal title expert. That's a $250 value just for signing up. Go to HometitleLock.com, use my promo code Shapiro250, or click on the link in the description. Make sure to check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Shapiro250. Get the protection and peace of mind you deserve. Next, we get to 30 Rock and Jack Donaghy. So again, this is one of those characters who is meant to be an anti-hero. Liz Lemon, who's played by Tina Fey, and Jack Donaghy, played by Alec Baldwin, are supposed to have this sort of love-hate relationship because Jack Donaghy is, of course, supposed to be a take on Lorne Michael. And so he is a conservative/libertarian who is in charge of the TV network and actually is answerable for data and the success of the show on which Tina Fey appears. So everyone else in the show is a nut job, and Jack Donaghy is not a nut job. Jack Donaghy actually is just kind of a straight-laced conservative business person who wants to make sure that the trains run on time. And this leads to some really, really funny moments.
One tweet from you to your fans, and Romney wins. It'll be historic. The first really, really rich president.
No, don't listen to him. What America needs is 4 more years of the stuff Obama's been doing, like, the one with the guy. It was at night, and I feel like he was standing next to a fence.
This country needs Mitt Romney.
It's like it needs a hole in the head.
A head has 5 holes, and they are all needed.
Okay, you two can talk about America all you want, but I'm not going to listen because there's no I or me in America.
There's both.
I mean, if I'm going to get political, it's going to be to build a better country for Jenna Maroney.
Jenna, this is a really big deal.
I agree. It's an opportunity to finally put a pro-Jenna president in the White House. Someone who respects the human fetus and recognizes its value as a hair volumizer. You have 24 hours. Then we'll all meet back here and you present your cases. Maybe I'll ask questions. Maybe you two can take turns arguing.
Like debate?
Like DeBarge. I love DeBarge.
No, Jenna, I said...
I love DeBarge too, Jenna.
Point Jack.
Yeah, obviously that sort of dynamic between Jack Donaghy and Liz Lemon is a large part of the show. All the best scenes are Alec Baldwin scenes in 30 Rock. That's just the way it is. Of course, Alec Baldwin is super lib in real life, like very much to the left, but because he's a good actor, he can't help but make the character likable even though he actually hates what the character is saying. At about the same time, another show came on the air that was supposed to be sort of a good-hearted lib show, and that was, of course, Parks and Recreation, which is all about a Parks and Recreation department in a small town. And that starred, of course, Amy Poehler as Leslie Knope, who is an aspiring politician who at the very end of the show ends up basically becoming Hillary Clinton in Hillary Clinton's dream. She ends up becoming president of the United States, which of course Hillary Clinton never did and never will be, which remains perhaps the funniest thing in the history of American politics. But the breakout character from the show was not Leslie Knope. The breakout character from the show was Ron Swanson, played by Nick Offerman, who's a deadpan libertarian who, again, is sort of the Jack Donaghy in the show. And of course, they make him kind of kooky and weird, and he has strange hobbies and all of the rest of it. But he's the only person who ever just speaks for the audience that everyone is being a wacko. Here's the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness, one of the classic clips.
Behold, the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness. I've been developing the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness for years. It's a perfectly calibrated recipe for maximum personal achievement. Categories include capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor. Crying, acceptable at funerals and the Grand Canyon. Rage, poise, property rights, fish, for sport only, not for meat. Fish meat is practically a vegetable.
This is why there's sort of a Ron Swanson libertarian movement almost built around this character. Because, hard agree. So folks, as you know, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about the most conservative TV shows. And a lot of you were like, well, what about Mike Baxter and Last Man Standing? And here's your moment, because now we're going to talk about it. He's portrayed by Tim Allen. Tim Allen is, in fact, a political conservative. Usually, when it comes to TV shows and lead actors on the TV show, the only way that the TV show itself is featuring the person in the center being a conservative rather than a side character like a Ron Swanson or a Jack Donaghy is if the actor themselves or the creator of the show is actually conservative. Mike Baxter, of course, is a sort of manly man. He clashes with his son-in-law Ryan a lot because his son-in-law is a lib. And it's sort of the Archie Bunker dynamic, except Archie, instead of being a vicious racist, is actually just sort of a traditional conservative. Here's Mike Baxter.
Are you enjoying making fun of me?
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact. Come on, listen, politics always change. Sometimes it's my guys, sometimes it's your morons.
Okay, but it is way worse now, and this is the world that my son is gonna have to grow up in.
Not if you keep giving him fried chicken.
Please don't block the TV, Mike.
Come on. I have a daughter and a grandson that need you to think less about this and more about them.
I think about them all the time.
No, you don't.
Yes,
all
I
you
do, which is
here.
what drives me crazy because there's nothing I can do about it.
Because you can't change the world. But there's certain small things you can do to control your own life, like this. Give me this. Watch this. Look, watch. Oh!
Again, that is about as conservative a message as you will ever see on TV. Turn off the TV, stop trying to change the world, and actually, go take care of your family.
You know who's not participating in the economic boom? Millennial men.
Why aren't there more conservative characters on TV? I mean, the real answer is because everyone in Hollywood is on the left. But the shows that are successful typically do have a voice of a conservative represented. Very often, it didn't start off that those characters were supposed to be sort of the heroes of the play, but they end up being the heroes because, again, if you put common sense in the mouth of any character, that person's going to end up being the breakout. Alrighty, folks. Well, if you have suggestions as to characters I missed, drop them in the comments below. We'll see you here next time.